Welcome to One Up Fantasy, helping you one up the fantasy football competition. For the latest in Chicago sports news, visit ChiCitySports.com. And now, here are the hosts of One Up Fantasy, Stephen Johnson and Chris Jackle. Kaboom!
Welcome in, one and all, to an all-new episode of One Up Fantasy here on ChiCitySports.com and the Tape Never Lies Network. I'm Stephen Johnson. He is Chris Jackle. He may be computer illiterate, but he is here, folks.
Oh, cheap shots already. I mean,
you knew it was coming, and I don't care if you didn't think it was, but...
It's 9:37. Where are your children at? Because Stephen Johnson is upset. No, my computer decided to update when I walked away and I wasn't paying attention. Next thing you know, I am late. So I apologize, Stephen, and to the rest of you. So that is on me. And yes, I agree with Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. It was fucking rude, right? Jesus, things happen.
Okay,
I didn't get drunk and fall asleep like you did fucking 3 weeks ago. But
fair,
all right,
fair. But we've all been there though. Where like the inopportune Windows restart is just the worst possible thing. My two favorite things are the Windows restart and the Zoom restart. I don't know if you've had the Zoom restart happen to you, but Zoom is notorious for taking forever to update.
Oh yeah.
And so it'll happen where you pop in like 2 minutes before, like, alrighty, let's get this call done, and they're like, you must update this. And it's like, the hell I do. Oh, even going with the misspell.
Yeah,
all right,
coming
Jordan,
at you.
I see how it is. Oh man.
Okay.
Well, you do what we can, and we're good. We're here. We're ready to talk some running
Tuesday.
Backs.
Yeah, it's fucking Tuesday. We finally have a game this weekend, something to fucking watch and enjoy. I mean, granted, we don't have a pony in the race, but with that being said, I'd like to see Joe Burrow take it down, and it'd be a beautiful thing to see him come in and get a championship, give us hope for that first round draft pick coming in and leading the team to the promised land. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, a second year turnaround. I'm trying to remember. Is he the first quarterback to make the Super Bowl in his second year?
I read the third somewhere.
Okay.
There's been 3 of them, I believe, and I'm not going to be able to name the other 2. I think, did Dan Marino go his second year? Or was it his rookie year he went? And then, there was somebody else that.
Okay.
If there's anybody in the chat.
There's a few here. So we've got Dan Marino.
All right.
Kurt Warner. I don't know if Kurt Warner counts because he was old.
Whatever.
Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Colin Kaepernick, and Russell Wilson.
Shit, 6. And Joe Burrow makes 7.
Yeah, I did not think that there were that many, but hey, we learned something today. Yeah. Right off the top, we learned something, and we're going to learn a little bit more about what we have going on in the world of running backs as we talk a little bit of honestly, it's just been a cluster of a week for the
start up the fucking ambulance. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was fucking horrible all year. Hopefully 2022, everyone's drinking their goddamn milk and we can get through a season, Jesus.
Well, and if you can get through a season, at least try and get through a scenario where you don't get arrested. Let's start there.
Come on. I mean,
what 48 hours for Alvin Kamara.
The only guy hitting during the Pro Bowl was fucking Alvin Kamara, apparently. Jesus Christ,
Man, it's a wild story. Goes out the night before the Pro Bowl, plays in the Pro Bowl. Apparently, after his as the night winded down, the night before the Pro Bowl, him and his entourage chose to beat the living crap out of somebody near an elevator.
Yeah.
And the details are slowly coming out. There is video footage.
I saw a picture of the gentleman.
Yeah, he don't look good.
No, fractured orbital bone. I mean, they were able to match like the hand tattoos to the people involved in the video. There was like this really detailed forensic like picture taken with everybody, Kamara and a couple other guys involved, and they were identifying guys with all their tattoos and stuff. It sucks, man, but I don't think it's going to impact next year for him.
Really?
Wow. I mean, what? I just think there's so much shit that players have done in the NFL. He fought another dude. I mean, we don't know the whole story. There's definitely more to it. I mean, he may serve a suspension, a small one, but I don't know. I read he's looking at 5 years for the charges, and
I mean that's the maximum.
Exactly.
Exactly. He's not going to get the maximum in this type of situation. Obviously he's already posted bond. Doesn't have a hearing until March 8th. But again, conviction on the felony charge, like you mentioned, could result up to 5 years, minimum of 1. But the thing that I heard about this, Drew Davenport on Twitter has done a fantastic job with the limited information that's available, breaking down what this means and saying, listen, this ultimately comes down to the victim and how far the victim wants to take this. Alvin Kamara could easily just dangle a few $1 million in front of his face and he could go, I'm fine. I don't want to take this any further. And that could be the end of it. And like you said, we could just be seeing a slap on the wrist, maybe a 1-2 game suspension at worst, based on that type of situation, because, there's a talk in the police report where the victim never put his hands on Kamara or any of his entourage. Kamara fully admitting that he punched the guy a few times, which is like,
it was on video too. You can't deny it. It never fucking lies, as we say, right?
Yes.
But do we know what was said that precipitated, or what led to the interaction? Not that this is, that it is fantasy related, but now you've piqued my curiosity, because all I've known is the aftermath, and now what led up to the Donnybrook that led to this fractured face.
Kamara told police he remembered the man calling one of his friends ugly and later threatening to whoop someone. When police asked Kamara why he punched the man, he said he indicated he thought the man was running away and had done something to his group, so he chased and punched him several times. However, the video contradicts that. Again, the tape never lies.
Yep.
Right. So here we are with he said, she said. There's been admission on both ends, both the victim and Kamara's party, that there were drinks involved within the evening, which obviously clouds things even further, can turn things really messy once there's that cross-examination period. If this does reach a court hearing, it's a mess. I
just saw that.
Tanash says the victim told Kamara a huge fantasy.
Hey, fuck that, man. I traded for him last year in my dynasty league, and it paid off some dividends. It got me, right to the door of the playoffs. But now I made some other poor trades in that. Not poor trades, but the Kamara one, it shouldn't come back to haunt. We got a couple years left, but I might look to try to dump him this offseason.
Yeah, he finished running back 11 in half PPR leagues in 2021. The crazy thing about him, that's his lowest finish since he came into the league in 2017. So in terms of consistency, you can't knock the guy. Obviously, you saw the night and day difference when Taysom Hill was the quarterback of the New Orleans Saints versus when they had their merry-go-round of Jameis Winston and Trevor Siemian throughout the season as well, in which Kamara was featured much, much more often. And obviously, because he's dealing with two quarterbacks who just don't have that run ability like Taysom Hill does. But, the question comes into play here, a couple different things, honestly. So, I mean, you got a guy here, so you're in year number 6, if I can do my math correctly.
You are correct. 2017 was his rookie year.
Again, there is a lot of tread on the tires, obviously, but here we are with a guy that you can bank on consistency of more or less being in that top 10 running back argument year in and year out. Even after he signs this mega deal, he's 26 years old. He'll be 27 going into next year. Based on all of this, based on this new revelation, is this a guy that, and again, looking at the way that the rankings are starting to shake out here for the early part of 2022, this is a lower first round pick still. So right now he's 9th overall in Fantasy Pros 2022
RB6,
rankings,
right?
Yes, I mean, or RB8. So
Okay.
the 7 in front of him are Taylor, Henry, Eckler, Cook, McCaffrey, Mixon, Harris. So
Okay.
that's the bunch in front of him. But do you think it's comfortable there? Do you think that he's a little low, a little high? Is this
So
the beginning of the end for Mr. Alvin Kamara? Where are you
no,
at with it?
I actually think he's probably right where he should be. I had him a little higher. I mean, I thought he was around the 6, right behind McCaffrey at 5 for me, ahead of Najee Harris. But I can see where he falls, right in that second tier, that 7, 8, 9 range. So, I mean, we're kind of in the same ball game. 6 to 9, big difference, I guess. But, we're still going to draft him in the first round. I like where he's at. The arrest, but I think you hit the nail on the head regarding consistency. He's a gentleman, as you've talked about, that since 2017 has just put up numbers. He did play in 13 games this year, which was the lowest number of games that he's played since he came into the league. There was one other year he played 14, I believe, or I thought, but everything else was either 16 or 15. So, I mean, he is pretty healthy. He is impacted definitely by the quarterback play. We have a new coach in St. Louis, in New Orleans, and so is Allen going to be the guy, with the offensive coordinator? Are they, how is this going to work? Are they going to bring in Jameis Winston? Are they going to go out and get a different quarterback that will actually play off of Kamara, as we've always talked about? He did his, when he had Drew Brees there, he was a fucking beast. So I really, I like where he's at, but he has potential to crack even higher into this, into the rankings as the season goes on. And so we could talk about him being an undervalued pick as 2022 goes, as the season progresses. But, as he stands right now, I kind of agree with you. I like where he's at. I just have him a tad higher, as we kind of, kick it around here.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing here is, we're also talking about a running back who is just 1 year removed from being the number 1 overall running back in the game. That's the thing that I think a lot of people have kind of forgotten about, that, I think there's a lot of folks, and this includes the Derrick Henrys of the world as well, that they sign that extension and it's almost like a death sentence from a fantasy perspective, where people think the end is nigh, and if you draft a guy that signs some monster deal, that he's all of a sudden just going to blow up in their face. And okay, yeah, Derrick Henry had a season-ending injury, and yeah, it really didn't work out all that well after the extension. But at the same time, it took other running backs up to 5 weeks to catch him in rushing yardage. He was so damn good the first half of the season.
He was still RB, I think RB 25 as for a whole total regarding fantasy.
Right.
It's crazy, to play in half the season. Yeah.
Right. And so again, now you have a guy in Alvin Kamara that again, as long as he is the feature piece in that offense, and God knows what will happen with Michael Thomas this offseason. If he'll get traded, he'll get cut, he'll get dealt. I mean, whatever ends up happening, that Alvin Kamara is still going to be a major piece to this Saints offense, and will be for a very long time, regardless of if Sean Payton is there or not, regardless of who the quarterback is, unless it's not Taysom Hill. But let's face it, I think Taysom Hill's due like $30 million, and not a damn soul is going to pay Taysom Hill $30 million. But I digress. I agree with you, though, that I think he could get a little bit higher. I mean, you talk about some of these names. Najee Harris, we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be in Pittsburgh. That could get things extremely muddy, especially if that offensive line still does not continue to get any better. Joe Mixon, he's been hit or miss, despite the fact he has shown a little bit more consistency this year. Christian McCaffrey, we're going on 3 years now where he's had a significant injury. Is this something that's going to just follow him the rest of his career in those 2 big seasons of RB1 type numbers where he's putting up 30-plus points per game? Maybe they're in the past, for all we know. Hell, Carolina could even look at trading him. I mean, how many times does his name come up in trade conversations with everything going on? And then you have Cook, Eckler, Henry, and Taylor. I think that 4 is pretty solidified, but I think Kamara there is the number 5 is more than feasible.
Absolutely.
Given, despite all of the turnover that New Orleans is probably going to withstand here. But you look at that back end beyond Kamara at the running back position. You have Nick Chubb sharing that backfield with Kareem Hunt. They both signed extensions. That's not going to go away anytime soon. Javonte Williams, that's an unknown. We'll see if Melvin Gordon sticks around in Denver. DeAndre Swift, young, promising, injured
I
offense.
think he's a little overvalued, though. Honestly, I think he's only PPR relevant, to be totally fair. And if he's in a standard or even a half-point PPR, he dropped almost, I think, 15 spots in the rankings, and he actually finished either right ahead of Derrick Henry or right behind Derrick Henry in standard fantasy leagues this year, which is pretty crazy to think. When I read that the other day, I was like, holy shit. And I wrote that down, or I kind of just, highlighted that. And I was like, I'm going to actually talk about that, because there was, he only carried the ball 14 times in just one of the 13 games he played in this year.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. He rushed for 50 times, only 3 times in 2021.
For 50 yards, only 3 times.
Yeah, a rush for 50 plus. I'm sorry,
man. I mean, I know, like,
and he's on the fucking Lions. Let's just kind of.
I mean, I know he has that receiving background to his game, and he's able to do that. But there were even times last year where you looked at him and you're like, "There's no one else to throw to. Why can't you get more involved?"
Yeah. And it's tough with him. Do you look at him as an RB2? I mean, we talk about him, like, in your own opinion, as we talk about the rankings, he sits like 9, 10, depending on who you talk to, right? Or what you look at and how you put together your own list here. But if you're drafting an RB2, you want that guy to be like right on the cusp of an RB1. Like, you want that dude to be a guy that if you're RB1, you're like, all right, I know that I'm going to get a solid 14, 15 points. Swift isn't getting you 16.1, 17.5 points. He's not doing that. I think he did that I was trying to find it as we were talking, but only, I think, 4 times. And that's not an RB2 in my opinion, especially if you're not running the ball for more than 14 times a game. I mean, what are we doing here?
Yeah. I mean, Swift finished with, let's see here, 4 top 10 finishes. That's it.
Yeah.
And you look on the flip side of that, he also finished with 4 finishes outside the top 40.
Yeah. And he had,
so, I mean, the definition of boomer bust.
Exactly.
Swift.
12 points per game or less in 5 of his 13 games. I mean,
you talk about drafting him as an RB2, but right now he's being drafted as an RB1.
I know.
And that's something that I can't in good faith do.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up. Honestly, I'm happy because he was on my list of overvalued, and I was like, shit, you hit it? I'm like, yes, because he's a guy that it's just like, you see the rankings from everybody, and it's like,
right.
I mean, Josh Jacobs and like Joe Mixon are being drafted. So it's like Jacobs is just dropping while this guy is just
running back 21 for Josh Jacobs.
It blows my mind, but hey, that's another story. We can get to that maybe, but I just think regarding Swift, it's somebody that I would tread very fucking lightly. And if they do draft if they do sign Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator, as we talked about on TTNL, as well as Bob brought up, yeah, he loves to run the ball, so yeah, we're going to be all set with that. They'll be all set with that, Swift owner. So, Swift roster holder. So, think about that before you pick him up this year. And I think we're in consensus there, huh, Stephen?
Yeah, Dennis Allen saying that he wants to bring in a new OC. Pete Carmichael will not be the offensive coordinator in New Orleans.
That's kind of fucked up, no?
That coming down today.
They promote within, and then he fucking fires the OC?
Yeah. I'm just as shocked as you are because it makes 0 sense that would happen.
Maybe he's a Taysom Hill guy and he's like, get the fuck out of here.
I mean,
I don't think so.
Who else are you going to grab? Like who else are you going to grab? I honestly, the Lions wouldn't shock me if they do end up going with Nagy. I mean, between the Lions and the Vikings, they love to recycle that NFC North player and coaching tree so much. It's only a matter of time.
So, whatever. Kneecap bite or whatever. He'll fit right in over there. Be you. Be fucking screwed. Go fuck yourself.
But I tell you, the coaching carousel has not died down at all. I feel like by now it's usually like,
well, all the head coaches have been set, right? So now everybody's just filling their staff. So, head coaches have all
getting another job like that. Wow.
I'm glad they gave him it's a 3-year deal, I think. But I mean,
nothing.
I just think to this
David
point,
Culley was gone in one.
Easterly's a piece of garbage down there. I think they felt the heat with respects to Flores's lawsuit, which is, it's obvious not obvious, but I'm happy that that's going to be brought to the forefront of the will actually do something. And it sounds like there's been some headway, and there were some meetings today, actually, and I know Reverend Al Sharpton actually was talking about the NFL about, getting rid of the Rooney Rule and coming up with a more appropriate type of format that will actually promote, African-American hires in the NFL to, instead of just the fucking interviews to make people happy.
Right. Well, and on that point, they had that other rule that was brought in where if you hire or promote a minority candidate from another team, you'd get that compensatory draft pick. And you think about that and just how many minority assistant coaches there are in the NFL, and then it just doesn't transfer over to the head coaching position. I mean, it's obvious that teams are stocking up on the piece that they get rewarded for, and not necessarily the piece that helps them win games, which the disconnect is just beyond comprehension with the way that that's all come together. And I mean, the whole thing does need to be redone.
Yeah, and I know a friend of mine that I work with. He's a high school football coach, quarterback coach, played in college. He coaches here in Connecticut, and he applied for the NFL through the diversity and equality division through the NFL, and the Hispanic heritage programming for coaches, and so the Latin American coaches, and he is on the list of trying to get into the league that way. So I know there are initiatives that are new that they're trying to really bring in coaches to the NFL and to bring diversity. But you're absolutely right. Where is the next step? You can have 100 assistant coaches and 100, but what? When are we going to make the jump and actually have some consistency here? But, I just, it's unfortunate, but now that Flores brought that to the table, hey, here it's something that's definitely going to be talked about. There's going to be some uncomfortable conversations that are going to be had, but it needs to be had. And so people need to start, maybe being comfortable with being uncomfortable right now so we can, progress and move forward. So, I don't know if that's fantasy related, but nonetheless, there we are. Thanks, Stephen. You got me lost in the weeds there, but it's something that's definitely something to talk about. So, I'm glad you actually brought it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get back on the running back train here and talk a little bit about the 2022 rankings. There's plenty to go over, and I think we got into a little bit of it here.
Can I ask a name to you?
Let's do that.
What your thoughts are?
Should we do name and report here?
Well, it's up to you. Is there someone that you were looking to talk about as we were looking at the rankings?
Not at all.
Did I just jump you and because I
No, you're good. I honestly was just ready to dive right into it.
Okay, cool.
Let's hit it. Let's hit it.
All right. So I'm gonna just give you. I'm gonna give you J.K. Dobbins. What is your take on Mr. Dobbins going into 2022 as
running back
RB19?
You're at 19. I think as a 4th round pick coming off of a major knee injury, that is a very, very dangerous game to play. I can't. I mean, he literally lost no value going from
just
2021 to
cut and paste.
2022.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are looking at it as, well, the Ravens running game situation sucked last year. And by all accounts, they are correct in that regard. I mean, you bring in the corpse of Latavius Murray, they bring in Freeman off the street. There wasn't a ton to write home about. And you think about how run heavy Greg Roman has that offense in Baltimore, and you think, okay, there is that potential there for him to really put up some numbers. But to the point where he literally does not lose value. It is mind-blowing to me. I mean, you're putting him on the same pedestal, the same tier as Josh Jacobs, as Leonard Fournette,
Yes,
as James Conner, if James Conner stays in Arizona. I'm taking all of those guys.
How crazy is that?
I'm taking them all.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going down the list here. You get into, the Damian Harris, Miles Sanders, Michael Carter, Travis Etienne is at 59 overall. Like, why?
That's your comeback player of the year next year.
I can't get on board with him. That was 100% an Urban Meyer draft pick, and now he's not here. And now Doug Peterson is here, and I'm jumping the gun on it, Travis Etienne, but multiple running backs was his thing in Philly. That actually might work out to his advantage. We'll see how Robinson comes back. But in terms of Dobbins, like, I just ask why. Like, I'm scrolling through the list, just getting ready to talk about all this, and he's like
what the fuck? How is that?
Well, I can't make an excuse up for why he's there. Like, I just can't. I don't know if you can, but I can't.
No, I'm with you on that. As we talk about it, when we were doing this and I look at other names, it blows my mind. How do I say it? Like, you're coming off a major knee injury. We looked at Saquon Barkley. We expected him to perform as a top 10 running back. And, obviously when it came to that this year, not only the eye test, the tape, everything, the stats, he was not the back that we thought he was going to be, and he was elite, and I think going with, the same kind of parallel here, I don't think you're going to get that from him. I just don't see how it's possible. It'd be great, but 4th round pick with the names that you talked about, how could you in good faith, if you're looking to win money, take him, Dobbins, over the guys the guys that you brought up? It's just doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
It'd be wonderful. And, but then again, it's the Ravens. Do they pump out RB1? Like, are there RB1s beasts every year? I mean, this isn't, not Priest Holmes, Jamal Lewis. Those aren't the years of guys, those types of backs, but this is the Ravens of now, and it's more the Lamar Jackson game. I just don't think he's going to be there. I would love to go back, and this could be a cold take, Stephen, but you and I could be, hitting the nail on the head, or he goes and, he does what people thought he was going to do and make that jump, that Cam Akers style recovery and come back early and just be ready to roll. But I mean, I'm looking at him being definitely overvalued at in the 4th round. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think comfortability wise, like, I wouldn't touch him until the 7th. Like, you look at where the rest Major League, what does it say? Beer dye.
Yeah, it's just Bob asked in the comment.
Bob's asking what the hoodie is.
Back in the day,
we got the fashion show going.
It's got my number on it, I think. Yeah, number 11. Yeah. Anyway.
Is there a professional beer dye league? I'm jealous.
Yeah, back a long time ago, This is before kids.
Back in my day.
Fun. Yeah, back when it was fun, Hey, do you have the list in front of you that you were talking about drafting, Dobbins with? I know Josh Jacobs.
So J.K. Dobbins is running back 20 and half PPR. the players directly behind him at running back go in this order: Josh Jacobs, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or however you want to pronounce it, James Conner, Damian Harris, A.J. Dillon, Miles Sanders, Michael Carter. So those are the 7 running backs after J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the biggest A.J. Dillon fan. I might take him over A.J. Dillon, but the rest of that group, man, I don't know. Like Miles Sanders, maybe too. I don't know what to make of Miles Sanders. He's another one of those enigmas where you don't really know what you're gonna get if he stays healthy. That's another question.
I mean, that's the key, right?
Right. I mean, that's the key for the whole damn position.
No, yeah, but like you said, though, but I mean, geez, to his point, with respect to Sanders, when he was healthy, he was a gamer, man. It's
Right.
just, it's there you go. You said it. Health is wealth in the NFL and fantasy ownership, fantasy wins and losses, and as we saw, probably every team lost their RB1 at least 1 week. I think there wasn't a guy that I think played 16 games or 17 games this year. As I was looking at it, I don't think there were 17 starts by, did Taylor play 17 games?
He might have. I think he did. He did. Let me confirm. Yep, he played them all.
Look at that.
Played them all. Nice slow start, and then he just puts off game after game after game after game and just kills it. Playoffs were a little iffy, but nevertheless, he got a lot of teams there.
What are you gonna do?
There. I think did Joe Mixon get them all? No, he missed 2.
Yeah. Hurt his foot, I think.
Yep, you're right. So another name, I'm going to throw this name at you because where he's at right now makes zero sense to me.
Okay.
Makes 0 sense to me based on the season that he had, and I think a lot of people are looking at it as flukish. And you could argue that by the way that the end of the year finished for this guy. He is currently running back 40, 94th overall, Cordarrelle Patterson.
Okay. What about
running back 40? PPR, are you still banking on Patterson and what he can do in the open field that late? Are you saying, okay, it was fun while it lasted and moving on? Where are you at?
Well, I think he, like you said, he kind of fizzled out this year. I think a couple of things happened. One, team started to scheme a little bit more for Cordarrelle Patterson. I think they just kind of were more hip. I mean, he still put up some touchdowns and he still got those he got you some points I had him on 2 teams this year. And I was, really relying on him to do something. So, but Pitts really kind of came on at the second half of the year. And I think what you saw was just kind of maybe a little bit of a shift in focus. I think he's kind of where he should be. It's tough to say though, Stephen. When I saw him at 40, I just thought, he had the year where you liked it, right? I mean, he rushed for. I mean, the problem that I had here. Sorry, my computer just froze on me.
You're good.
No, but what I'm trying to say is the way he finished and kind of the flukish year of just putting up those huge numbers, I almost felt like it was a wave. And you're not going to get those first 12 weeks of the NFL, fucking Cordarrelle Patterson coming into 2022. After week 14, he didn't hit double digits, and he only hit once after week 13, so, I mean, it was sad to say, but I think that train is kind of passed. I'm not a big Cordarrelle Patterson fan going into 2022. I think he could even end up a lot lower as the season goes on. I actually think they're going to go out and get someone. They need a real true running back. They kind of lucked in. They had no choice. Davis kind of faltered. I mean, he actually did well. He did better than Patterson in the second half of the year. So I think, to this point, I don't see him even being an RB. I don't know where he'll be for the Falcons, let alone, I don't see him being the fantasy guy. I'm just rambling because I don't think he's that good. I have nothing on him outside of I liked him in the beginning of the year in 2021. I just kind of, I rode that trend, and I traded for him when I lost Derrick Henry. I traded AJ Brown actually straight up, and it worked out where AJ Brown got hurt. Patterson ended up playing, but then got hurt. So, we both got screwed in the deal, and I ended up getting knocked out of the playoffs. So fuck it. But, what's your thoughts though? Do you see him having any kind of value, or is he kind of where you think he should be? Because there's guys at 40 where you're just kind of, there's other guys I like better than Patterson. Chris Carson. Shit, I'll take Darrell Williams, who's like 43 over.
There's a couple intriguing names floating around in this.
That was a bad answer, by the way.
Vicinity. Patterson, an RB8 finish, 11 of his 29 career touchdowns last year. Think about that. 11 of 29 career touchdowns happening in 1 year. I'm in the boat that I think the team's kind of figured out what was going on, and he was kind of that one-trick pony where you get him out, you try and get him out in the open space.
Yep.
Obviously not that talented of a roster down in Atlanta. God knows what it's going to look like in 2022 if Matt Ryan is still going to be around. He starts to become a cut candidate as the season moves along after we get past June 1st, which is obviously going to impact things significantly. But you mentioned
quarterback,
right, and you mentioned Chris Carson around that side. And even some of the other names that are floating around here at the running back position. Ronald Jones, if Fournette doesn't return to Tampa, which, Leonard Fournette should be cashing in wherever he can get a contract with the rate that he has performed for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the last 2 years. The upside there, I think, is a little bit stronger than what you would see out of Patterson. And the same thing, goes with a couple of those other guys. You mentioned Williams, Gaskin. I'd be shocked if Miami doesn't upgrade.
About Chris Carson.
The one thing about Chris Carson, I just want to know is if they are seriously considering bringing back Rashad Penny, because it wouldn't shock me if they do. And then the question becomes, okay, we know that we have a younger running back, and he's on a second deal, and maybe they go out and they draft a guy. They say, okay, we've got Chris Carson, who's dealt with some pretty serious injuries with everything that they have going on. And maybe they just don't want to rely and put all their eggs in that basket. They don't want to go and re-sign Rashad Penny. They want to bolster that offensive line, maybe give Russell Wilson, if he's still there.
I was going to say, if Wilson's even there.
Protecting, right. Yeah. That's the other thing. Like if Wilson leaves town, and there's some scrub starting at quarterback for that team, or they pick up some guy in free agency, Andy Dalton, who the hell
Jimmy
knows?
G, whoever,
all of a sudden it changes the dynamic, and it cuts back on the ability really for those running backs to do what they're there to do, because Russell Wilson is Russell Wilson and does a hell of a job in opening up the running lanes for those running backs, and the fact that they don't have to worry about seeing such a heavy box all the time. So it's risky. It's a risky pick. I'm on the fence about it because I loved Chris Carson. I thought he was a tough runner. He did a fantastic job. He put up a couple of top 20 seasons, I think, in 3 straight years. And considering he was was he not drafted? Was he like a 7th round pick? Something late. But the fact he was able to do all of that, and now
7th round pick out of Oklahoma State, number 249.
And in the same draft as Rashad Penny.
Yeah. Penny's ranked 6 spots higher than him going into the, in 2022 rankings right here, And Penny's tough though. I think he's going to get recency bias coming into the 2022 draft. I just think people are going to remember those, shit. He took me to the, championship and got me some, I won some money and some bread on the back of, and fucking, and Penny here. So, and hey, I was one of them, but I think he's definitely a little overvalued, and at 36 or 34, Devin Singletary to me has more value than Penny.
Absolutely.
Travis, Tony Pollard, Melvin Gordon, these are guys that are right on that ballpark there. It's like, and if Wilson's gone, their offense will probably, unless they can get a dynamic quarterback, it'll be predictable. And it's going to be, I just don't see a running back in Seattle probably having that much worth if Wilson's gone. Like I said, unless they bring someone in.
And it's not even that per se. It's also the fact that, there are a lot of free agent running backs this year, like a lot. Just the majority of the names
we talked about it last week. Yeah.
Right. The names that we just ended up discussing with, the Fournettes and the Gordons and the Pennies, it's a list of 5 or 6
James
deep.
Conner, Edmonds,
Exactly.
Sonny Michel, Melvin Gordon, Cordarrelle Patterson, Darrell Williams, Deontay Foreman, Jordan Howard, James White, Ronald Jones, Devontae Freeman. You could cut Tariq Cohen, you could cut Mike Davis, and you could cut Mark Ingram. So there's some definitely fucking guys out there. You know what I mean? Most of those guys are under 30 years old, except for James White and Devonta Freeman. And Mark Ingram. Right. Everybody else is under 30. So
and the crazy thing is, again, we're going to see another not as strong of an influx in rookie running backs this year. Obviously, you have Hall and Spiller and Walker all coming into the draft as a solid 3. Maybe Kyron Williams, if you want to add him there, as running back 4. Yeah. But at the same time, again, like you mentioned, there's so much talent. And you mentioned Tariq Cohen's name, and I want to go on a tangent, but I'm going to hold myself back from doing that. There's a lot of risk in this back end of the running back rankings where if you refuse to solidify the position early in your drafts, you are going to get waxed. Straight up. Yep. Waxed. And it's funny because the title of this episode is To Zero RB or To Not Zero RB. Not is the answer, not the question, the answer based on all of this, because you just look at this and it's like, how much do you enjoy playing Russian roulette? Because that's essentially what you're doing by holding off and not drafting running backs early on in your drafts.
And so we're talking about value, and I like that, Stephen. And you hit it out of the park with that. I think zeroing in on guys, but and having that conviction when it comes to running backs. When we talk about that, trust your gut, do your research, and go get somebody. But we look at these rankings, and we talk about value, overvalue. We didn't really get into any undervalue. Going into 2022. I want to ask you about a guy we talked about a second ago in Saquon Barkley. Coming off a subpar 2021, he's still sitting in the top 10. I think he's at 9. I take that back. No, he's at 14. So he's looking at, second round, third round, depending on what you're thinking about. But what are your thoughts? All-time low 2021. Are you looking at him at coming as a bounce-back candidate for 2022? With Mitch Trubisky at the quarterback, handing the ball off to him with the new coach and the new offensive coordinator and the whole fucking works. Man. What are your thoughts, man?
I was the biggest Barkley truther. I loved everything about Saquon Barkley. I can't ride that train anymore. I just
You're not going to have to pay RB1 price for this guy, though. Third, fourth round. I think that's worth to me. That unknown. If we're talking about drafting fucking bumfuck at 40. Why wouldn't you look at in that same round? I'd rather take Saquon Barkley than Cordarrelle Patterson.
Well, obviously.
I'm just saying, fourth round. If you're looking at those two guys, shit.
I think based on who else is in that vicinity, I struggle. I struggle to
Montgomery, right?
Yeah, you got Montgomery. Cam Akers is ahead of Montgomery and Barkley. That I don't agree with at all. But you have Antonio Gibson that's in that conversation as well. So running back 12 through what number am I go through here? I'll go through 18. So 19. So 12 through 19. You got Antonio Gibson.
Yep.
Cam Akers, David Montgomery, Saquon Barkley, Aaron Jones, Ezekiel Elliott,
Lenny,
Elijah Mitchell,
okay,
and then Leonard Fournette.
Okay. Josh Jacobs right at the end there?
Jacobs is 2 more down. So you have our buddy J.K. Dobbins and then Josh Jacobs.
I don't know what list you're using, but looking at right now.
Half PPR.
Oh, you're doing half PPR. Okay,
yeah,
that's
I'm doing
why.
half.
Yeah, you suck. I always do full. That's why we're having a couple of points off on this.
But I'd rather have Montgomery, and I know we could probably talk about that article for days.
Oh my god! Are we gonna do this all off season?
We're just gonna mention it. We're not gonna get into it.
Fucking idiots, dude.
But to that extent, David Montgomery was showing much more consistency, and the fact that now he has a GM that's going to put more push into the offensive line, I think it's going to do wonders for what he can do from a fantasy perspective. Aaron Jones without Rodgers, maybe, hopefully without Rodgers. I can't feel comfortable, even though there's all this promise about the coaching staff to go out and get Saquon at that spot. Like, I just can't do it. Can't do it.
They talk about Daboll does, he abandons the run and all that other stuff,
That too.
But at the same time, though, Buffalo was 6th in rushing. Granted, a lot of that probably was Josh Allen, which upped that stats. But, I mean, they were 6th overall in rushing in the NFL last year, and at almost 130 yards a game. So, I had Singletary and Moss on a team, a dynasty team. So, but I don't know. I see that, and I could see that being undervalued. If he gets back to close to his form, we're looking at another top 10 running back, but we're also talking about running back with a fucking blown out knee. And that sounds like red flag gazoo over here. It's like, you stay away from that stuff. So I was curious. I was seeing some people looked at him as like, wow, he's, not, he's closer to the top 20 than he is top 10. And I'm like, well, it's probably right where he should be. But then you see Cam Akers 3 spots ahead of him, and you're like, I'm kind of at a loss for words, So I appreciate your honesty there, because it's tough. Because
and it's not just even that, but like Cam Akers hasn't looked good like at all in the playoffs. And like, he's coming off an Achilles injury, so it's like, what do you expect?
He looks quick still, though. He doesn't look slow, but I just think I'm still surprised he's playing. But hey, he's healthy.
Absolutely.
He's got a hurt toe now or something, right? Or shoulder, right?
Yeah, he's just getting all bruised up, which, I mean, to the same point, you think,
surprise.
maybe he's not too durable. Do I really want to spend a 2nd, 3rd round pick on a guy that might be wasting some time and not necessarily getting me some fantasy points?
You want to include Bob in on the article? That was on Twitter. So Bears Twitter in a fucking uproar.
Yeah, as Phil would put, the blog boys put out an article that said that David Montgomery was more or less not a good running back. I think that's essentially what it boiled down to, that he was very average in what he did and who he was as a running back in the league. And, that's a tough pill to swallow, to say the least. So I think Jackal froze. Maybe I froze. I don't know. What say you, chat? Did Jackal freeze, or was it me? I think he's frozen. Okay, well, we're gonna continue on and hope that he comes back here. But yeah, no, it's a very interesting dynamic there in that those middle rounds. You know, we talked about how much the uh the position as a whole is very, very volatile. And I think that's, if anything, that's what we learned in 2021. And it has so much capability to carry over into 2022. Again, we're talking about another extended season. Again, another stretch where he got 17 games. The fact that there were just so few players that played in all 17 games. You're back.
I don't know what the fuck. My fucking Ethernet just went black, and next thing I know, I'm like, oh shit, we froze, and it said my LAN connection disconnected. So I don't know what the hell just happened. So we're back on the Wi-Fi.
Having
here,
a LAN party, playing some Counter-Strike.
It's fucking all, hey, you know, fucking Apple. Thanks, fucking Jobs and Cook, you fucking bums, you know. Got me hooked in here like fucking heroin addict with all these goddamn products, and they're not working. What the fuck? Seriously, my little light thing just went off, and now here we are. But hey, I apologize.
You're back. That's all that matters.
Hey, you know.
But yeah, just talking more about just this middle questionable tier where, again, we talked a few minutes ago about the fact that, you know, if you don't take care of the position early on, you're going to get screwed.
Yeah.
Same thing with kind of navigating the landmines that are these third, fourth, fifth rounds. You know, that you know, we talked about the J.K. Dobbins tier and everything that goes with that. And we talk about this tier with the guys like Cam Akers that can't seem to stay healthy. You have Saquon Barkley, will he or won't he bounce back? Aaron Jones, who knows what the Green Bay offense is going to look like. But even if Aaron Rodgers sticks around, we're also talking about an Aaron Jones that only had 4 top 10 finishes last year. That's it. Yeah. 4. I mean, that's, again, this was also a guy that a lot of people took in the first round a year ago because they thought he was going to be the guy. He was just going to run over people because he was scoring touchdowns at a chaotic rate. And here we are, and he's kind of fallen back to earth. Ezekiel Elliott, though. I mean, the dude plays on a torn PCL for 3/4 of the year. Puts up pretty decent numbers. Yeah, he got to 1,000 because he had the extra game. But he puts up some pretty solid stats when it's all said and done, regardless of Tony Pollard being there or not. What are your thoughts on Ezekiel Elliott and where he's at right now? Because right now he's 30th overall, running back 17.
He's, you know, you look at the guys he's around, though. We talked about David Montgomery, Aaron Jones, Lenny Fournette, Josh Jacobs, Elijah Mitchell, CHE, James Conner. I mean, these are guys. And then Elliott, I mean, top 5 for a few years there, top 10, however you look at it. But I think the way things are shaping up in Kellen Moore's offense, that it you know, I see Tony Pollard just siphoning away, as we saw this year, some of the carries and touches for Zeke, but at the same, he's got some, you know, miles on those tires, man. You know, he's definitely put in the work in the NFL, and I think you're seeing some of that. He's not as fast, not as elusive. He could still probably benefit from a few more carries, which would show in the, but you said it himself. He needed 17 games to get 1,000. He was hitting that in week 12, you know, back when he was chumming along, you know, and I just think it speaks to the life expectancy of the NFL running back, man, you know, and I just don't, I see Zeke being right where he should be. He's right in that tier 4, top of the chart, right? You know, like he's better than Fournette, Jacobs. I think you may see Elijah Mitchell jump up a little bit next year. If they bring in a really solid quarterback, if they could get Aaron Rodgers over there, if Tom Brady goes over to San Francisco to play, you know, you might see fucking something happen over there with, you might see him make even a better jump. You know, if they still have a stable of running backs over there, but I can't argue with where Fournette's or where Elliott's at. Am I in line with your thoughts, or what do you think?
You know, depending on the league type, I think that's the biggest thing. But really, he's the consistency patterns in terms of where he's finished. I had to look at this because I almost didn't believe it when I heard this for the first time. He has not finished worse than 11th at the position since he came into the league.
Really?
I thought he had worse years because all you hear about is, oh, it's the wall for Ezekiel Elliott. It's coming to an end. Half PPR. We're going to start his rookie season 2016 up to this last year. His finish at the running back position: 2nd, 10th, 5th, 4th, 11th. He finished 6th this year. I didn't realize that he was RB6 this year, and it is like, what? With all the talk about Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott, regardless of the fact that he fought through a torn PCL for the majority of the year, still had 1,000 yards, 47 catches, and 12 touchdowns. Like, I mean, I don't see a scenario in which he falls out of the top 15. And the point being, I mean, that's a value. Like, that's a value.
He wasn't top 14 in total points and running backs for 2021, I don't think, So, I mean, he's close to where he should be, though. I mean, maybe a little higher. Do you think he's better than those guys in that next tier? I mean, I don't think he's better than Swift, but you could argue that. Javonte Williams, Cam Akers, Nick Chubb, Gibson, Barkley. I mean, you repeated all these names earlier when you're prefacing the argument here. So I still think he falls below those guys. Maybe 2 of those guys you could switch him with. So 14, 15 range. What's that?
Yeah, I mean, that puts him at the Montgomery level. That's Montgomery and Barkley. And I guess to that point, yeah. Man, that's a tough 3 to try and divvy. I mean, could you go wrong with any of those 3? In the grand scheme of things, probably not. I don't think. I mean, I think you'd feel pretty comfortable knowing that you have one of those 3
on the year for on average for points per game.
So he is. So that's the thing, because he played in all but one game, so he had 13.7 points per game. So it was considerably lower. So it was running back 14 in points per game.
Because Chubb at 12 was like 15.4 or whatever. So they were. So it's like, yeah. I mean, if you look at it that way, he's fallen right kind of where he's looking to kind of go into 2022. But you're going to see guys reach for him. There's dumb fucking Cowboys fans that fucking draft with their heart and they're fucking idiots. And, it's unfortunate. No, it's not unfortunate. It's good for us because we actually fucking pay attention, and the 20 of you guys, or whoever, sees that and, like, oh shit. All right. Yeah. Fucking idiot. And next thing you know, you're getting the running back you need because this dummy took fucking Ezekiel Elliott in the 2nd round, but
yeah.
Are there? So I have another guy for you.
All right.
And we could go all night here, but.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I brought up Saquon Barkley. I want your thoughts on CHE, Clyde's or CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What's your thought on him? We looked at him going into 2021. He was RB 15 going into the season. Going into 2022, he's at RB 21.
There's just something about his game that I hate. Like, I just hate with a passion. And I don't use the word hate often when it comes to describing these guys. But the way that he is utilized in that offense, and I think a lot of people were anticipating him to basically be the Brian Westbrook that Andy Reid had in Philadelphia.
How about Priest Holmes, Jamal Charles?
Yeah, I mean, just that whole lineage of Kansas City Chief running backs. But there's nothing there that makes me think, man, this guy has it. Like, there's nothing there. You even look at his stats. I mean, the most carries that he had for the season were 17 in week 3, and I mean, he just didn't do anything with the ball.
0 games, 20 touches, 0 games of 20 carries. Managed less than 80 total yards in 7 of his 10 games this year.
Yeah, and not a single digit finish for him either. I mean, it just didn't make any sense. Like,
Do
and
you
yeah,
think?
he had a pretty solid. I guess
Go
he's
ahead,
had a
sorry.
solid postseason. Like, if you want to say that, like 13 carries for
Couple years,
96
yeah.
yards in 2 games this postseason. But that's not what you draft a guy in the first round to do. And the fact that they could have had Jonathan Taylor, but they go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it makes you think, what is
Wow.
happening?
But then again, would Taylor be Taylor if they had Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback? You know, does Mahomes impact the running game that well? Because, you know, theoretically, once Mahomes got there, their run game, you know, in terms of the production from the running backs wasn't necessarily what it was. You know, Jamal Charles, Kareem Hunt was there before Patrick Mahomes. No, was there a year of Kareem Hunt as the RB1 there? I'm trying to remember.
I think there was one year.
But you know, since he got there, though, you know, they've made it to the AFC Championship the last 2 out of the 3 seasons. I don't know. I just think, you know, in the 23 games that he's been there, he's only had 2 games where he's gone over 20.5 points, and he's never gone over 21.
Man.
You know, but think about it. Darrell Williams, 3 games with 20 plus touches in 2021. You know, this past season, Darrell Williams had 3 games with 20 plus touches. And then he had 11 games with 3 or more catches, where CEH had 3 games. You know, so it's like, dude, Darrell Williams did so much more in less, where Williams did so much more with less. And I think it's not a KC problem or a Patrick Mahomes issue. It's a CEH issue. And I think you're right, though. I think it's kind of, he's definitely overvalued as we look at him at 21. Do you think does he fall in that 5th tier, that Miles Sanders, Michael Carter, Chase Edmonds, James Robinson category for you?
I tell you what, like, I'd rather have James Conner, Damian Harris, and Michael Carter ahead of him for sure. I think those 3 I'd be firmly planted that we would be ready to go. we got Coach in here.
Hey, Coach O.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I'm trying to get this up here. Where's Phil?
I'm not sure. I think you might have clicked. You quite possibly have clicked on the wrong link. Steven?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that Phil was doing a show tonight.
Were you guys just looking to connect, Coach O?
No, I just got some new equipment and I wanted to try it out if they were on. I wanted to know if they could hear me or see me. I also got a blackboard or a whiteboard.
Oh boy!
And I'm going to put it behind me. He sent it to me with the stand and everything, but it's not going to work out. That means it has to stay in this room permanently, and I can't have it done that way because I have too much company.
Well,
so what I've done is I've taken this board here, and I'm going to place it on. I don't know if you can see this.
Oh yeah.
There's a bed behind me, but I have these 2 benches in front of me, and I'm going to put the board up there, and we'll work it out when we need to describe.
Your mic's a little foggy. It sounds a little. Your microphone's a little foggy. Like a little crackly a little bit. But just so you know, you jumped onto the One Up Fantasy podcast. So I don't know if you realized that you hopped on our show, Coach O. No. Hey, you're all good. You're all good. And talk fantasy football with us. I just didn't know if you and Phil were jumping on with us here. So it's always a pleasure to see. You're more than welcome to hang out. We were talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how he isn't quite the running back that we.
I was hoping to find maybe Phil was on, because he's on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
He's on every day, Coach.
Every day, it seems like, yeah.
But anyway, you guys must be happy with the new coach and everything, right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Like the whole coaching staff and how everything's kind of playing out. What about you?
I'm so happy for you guys. I really think you got a good guy. Just listening to him, I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
especially seeing some of the film of his defense. It was really incredible.
Yeah, we're looking forward to
But
that
anyway,
change.
listen, I'm going to get you. Oh,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't
No
mean to-
worries.
Hey, you're
Come
all
on
good.
here.
You're all
I
good.
just wanted to test out. I got a new microphone. He sent me the hip. As a matter of fact, I'm going to try the other ones on. I don't know which one's better. You said I had crackly. Let me,
Oh, what you just did,
Oh,
change.
it's
Whatever
better.
you
Whatever you just did.
Whatever you just did, changed. Put them back on.
okay.
Uh,
Yeah, but I have to plug it in again.
Oh, all right.
That's what
Something
I-
happened.
Yeah, so listen, let me try the other one. Maybe
All right.
That's better. If I can find it. There it is. Let me plug this one in.
Let's see here.
See if there's any better. I'm crying a lot. I can't find the hole. So my
Yeah,
wife tells
story
me,
of some of our lives, Coach Joe. Story of some of our lives. Especially Stephen.
How's that? Any better?
the
I
mic
can't
still
hear you.
sounds a little
Yeah,
off.
it's the microphone, Coach Joe. There's some disturbance somehow. It's almost like kind of wavy.
We're even now.
Yeah.
Even now.
So maybe it's got something to do with the adjustments on here. I don't know. I'm not even sure how these things work.
I'm not
How
sure.
about that? Are you hearing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that it doesn't sound like the mic is working that well. Yeah, let me take this off.
All right.
Oh, I see. There's an adjustment to this. You can't put this one on.
Oh no.
Maybe that's what it is. It's not on correctly. It's got a little wiggle to it. How's that? That better?
Nah, the mic's still
It's
giving
just
issues.
your mic. Something with the mic, Coach Joe. Honestly, I'm not
Will you
sure.
hear me better now?
Yes.
Oh,
Is that the same?
that
Whatever
worked.
you
Better
just
now?
Whatever
did.
you just did.
I don't have the mic, the headset on, but I have the
Oh,
mic
now
on.
it's kind of.
It's almost like
now.
the wires are too close to something or your phone or so. It's almost like there's a disturbance somewhere because you did something and it cleared right up.
I pulled the headset off.
Ah,
I'm without a headset now, and I can hear you perfectly. Is that okay?
Yeah, the mic is.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, but the mic is a little iffy. It's like wavy.
Static?
Yeah, it's like a little distorted.
I don't know. That's what we're here to find
Oh,
out.
yeah.
But anyway, it doesn't have to be with you.
okay.
I don't want to be on the show. I just want to be with him, and we could correct these things, you know?
I hear you. Phil will know. He'll tell you what to do. There might be a setting in your audio where you may just have to go in and change it to, it might have to adjust it somehow. Phil would know how to do that.
Okay.
All right.
All right, guys. I'll say good night to you.
All right.
Good night,
enjoy
Coach Joe. It's
yourselves.
great to
Good night,
see you. Have a
Coach.
good night.
Yeah, take care.
Right. We'll flip back over here. Coach Joe with the
Hey.
guest spot there.
Couldn't
Good to
find the
see him.
hole.
Good to see you. That's all Shane. That's all Shane.
Oh,
to
dude,
pull-
he already
to pull it.
fucking sent it. Probably. Oh man, I can't wait to send it to Phil. Holy shit,
Hey,
that was
hey,
great.
It's not you. That has the sound clip this week.
I love it. Phil's in space. Hey, that's a good little that's a segue, as we wrap up here at, on fucking What Up. What do you think, Steven? Where do you want to finish on? Are we going to finish on Coach Joe and is there somebody you want to talk about? Talk to me.
So I guess we'll one final question. And we'll just say who out of all going back to the running backs,
Okay.
who out of all the running backs, just on the board, just top to
Oh.
bottom, is your best value play? If you had to pick one
Ooh.
guy when you're like, this guy's gonna hit, he's gonna be big, he's gonna get it done. Who's it gonna be?
It's a tough one. I think I look at overvalue. I'm looking at a guy, I'm going to say Javonte Williams. I think, he's an RB. I don't know, what you're looking at here. Javonte Williams, where are you at?
Running
RB
back 10. Running back 10.
Okay. Led the league in NFL in forced broken tackles. 1,200 all-purpose yards, 903 rushing yards, 43 catches, 7 total touchdowns. He was an RB18 in PPR league last year. Recorded the highest rate of forced missed tackles in any season since 2006. I think if Melvin Gordon is no longer splitting touches with him, you're going to see a tremendous jump in his production. And looking at that as a rookie, I just see him being a guy that may be that back that we are talking about in the top 5 next year. I think that you could see a monumental shift in Javonte Williams fans going into 2022 with the shaping up of that offense. If they can actually pull it off with a quarterback, and you have him with Gordon, not if he's there or not, it depends, but I think he's a guy going into 2022. He's on the up and up, man. I like his trajectory moving forward. I think he's a guy that could be a workhorse, man. Accumulated. That's my take, man. What about you? Is there a guy in your list? I went cheap on number 10. I know you're going to go with some guy in the bottom half where you're going to talk to me, show me how smart you are. But Coach O is big on Michael Carter. Sorry, Bob. I apologize.
I honestly, I was you got me there because I saw Bob talk about Michael Carter a few times.
Yeah,
and we didn't get into him because I wanted to talk about him because I think where he is drafted now is a travesty. Running back RB 27. I mean, you look at what he did in a rookie season. Yeah, the numbers don't jump off the page. 639 rushing yards, 325 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. Was good for a running back 29 finish. But that was also tied with a slow start, missed a few games down the stretch. Tevin Coleman is a free agent. Ty Johnson's there one more year. But again, this is an offense that should be a little bit better, if not significantly better than it was a year ago. And Michael Carter is going to be the guy that drives the engine and drives the car in that running game for the Jets. And I think there's going to be a really good opportunity for him to eclipse 1,500 all-purpose yards in that offense. Okay. And there's nothing that can stop him from having a top 15 finish. And the fact that he is being drafted where he's being drafted right now, which right now is overall 54, so 5th round-ish player, running back 27. I would say that is a value that you smash when it is all said and done. Absolutely love Michael Carter heading into 2022. And yeah, he had some rough games. It was a tough pill to swallow for a lot of fantasy players out there. I mean, I think the end of the season here, Tampa Bay,
he didn't play very well.
Finished 36th. Buffalo,
one game in his last 5 double digits.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but there was that promise there, and obviously the Jets were playing from behind a lot in 2021 too. So hopefully that should also flip the game script in their favor more often than not. Maybe not as much.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
J.K. Dobbins or Michael Carter?
Michael Carter.
20. Okay. J.K. Dobbins or James Conner?
Oh man, you're right on that line for me. I don't think James Conner is going to repeat what he did. I'll go J.K. Dobbins. I might have contradicted myself because I think I might have said I'd rather
Carter or Miles Sanders.
Carter.
All right, no doubt. Last one. Ready?
Yeah.
Michael Carter, Kareem Hunt.
Carter.
Okay.
Something about Kareem Hunt. I can't shake the feeling. I cannot shake the feeling that something is up with Kareem Hunt, and obviously sharing the backfield with Nick Chubb. You never know what you're going to get from week to week out of that offense, and God knows what that Browns offense is going to look like. If Baker Mayfield's still going to be there, who the hell knows? But, man, it's there's a lot. There's a lot that might be happening. Yep, absolutely. But what do we know? We're just here playing a fantasy game.
A fool's game, sir. A fool's game. You know,
Get stressed over nothing.
Win
Nothing.
funny,
But
Matt here, 1-up, right?
yeah, we got man. I tell you, we have fun. We enjoy it. But man, the stress that comes with this game, like, shoot me.
Yeah, we got one more game of football for 2021, and then it's
Absolutely.
on
So
to 2022.
final
Predictions?
score
There we go.
on Sunday.
I 31-27 Bengals.
Okay.
What about you, sir?
I'm gonna go with the Rams. I'm gonna say 35-21. I don't think it's gonna be close. I think
Ooh.
there's gonna be some slaughter happening with
I think Jalen Ramsey gets slaughtered by fucking
really. Man,
Jamar Chase.
they've been trash talking Jalen Ramsey this week. I don't know about that. I think you mess with the bull, you get the horns. And it's not something that will play into the favor of of the Bengals, but I could be wrong. If there's anything that we've learned over the last 3 years, it's don't bet against Joe Burrow, because in win or go home games, he is gold, absolute gold. So we'll see what happens. I'm just so glad it's something different.
Yeah.
And it's not the same old song and dance that we've been used to in some shape or form over the last few years. Oh, it's just a breath of fresh air.
Fucking,
I think
I see the
what it
fucking
comes down to.
Mahomes family fucking at the game. But anyway, but yeah, no, it's gonna be a good game, man. I'm looking forward to it. We'll definitely be talking about it next week. There may be a little fantasy implications. We'll see who performs well, who doesn't. Hopefully everyone can kind of make it through the Super Bowl unscathed, so they can go on to 2022 healthy, ready to rock, and want us, get us all going for the fantasy season. Dynasty drafts are happening. I know we're going to be chopping that up with some dynasty talk in the near future.
Absolutely.
A lot going down for 2022 on 1-up here. Mr. Johnson, what do you say?
Yeah, still got plenty of offseason left to go. A lot
Yes,
of FA talk, some free agency talk, some draft talk, and like you mentioned, all the dynasty talk that we can get to over the course of this 2022 offseason. So plenty to talk about. Also have some Bears to talk about, specifically tomorrow. You got Keeping It 100 back on the air with Giraffe Dr. Phil and Shane the Smart Man Marsaw at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central on TTNL and Tri-City Sports. So be sure to check that out as
Alex
they continue
Shapiro
to break down the wonderful last couple of weeks that have been rebuilding the front office and getting rid of all the negative words we could probably describe of the previous
Funk gets to
front
keep
office.
his barbershop too. I hope they didn't get rid of the barbershop. I hope he gets to stay on board with the new regime.
I think he would. I think the players would hold him to
Okay,
it.
Cool.
Maybe I hope so.
Yeah,
I don't know anything.
man.
Yeah,
cool
absolutely. But yeah, so we'll have that tomorrow for Bears coverage, and then we'll be back after the Super Bowl on Sunday evening, next Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, with a brand new episode of 1-Up Fantasy, talking wide receivers next week. So we'll be breaking all of that down and much, much more. So be sure to check that out then. And also subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Google, Apple, Spotify. If you're not going to boycott them for all the crap that they're in the news for. But hey, another conversation for another.
What?
So.
I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway.
So, for Chris Jackle, I'm Stephen Johnson. Thank you for watching or listening, no matter how you are taking in this episode of 1-Up Fantasy. We do appreciate you joining us. So, until next Tuesday, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the Super Bowl, and we will talk to you next week. Take care, everybody.
Take care. Stay safe, everybody.